Greetings. This is going to be a birth chart reading of my own chart as kind of like a sample of how I do readings. First, for someone who's never seen what this is before, this is a zodiac wheel. And I like to start off by kind of explaining it as a clock. It's like a 24-hour clock. This is 6 a.m. just as we know it. This is noon. This is 6 p.m. This is midnight. The analog clock. And this is also the morning, right? The afternoon, the evening, and the night. This is also the spring. It's a year. It's a day and it's a year. So this is spring, this is summer, this is autumn, and this is winter. Now, I was born on March 24th, 1985 in Sacramento, California. Here's the glyph of the sun, as you see here, and then the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and you take the glyph and you find it on the chart. So I was born at 5:40 p.m. around about an hour before the sun was setting. So if you see here, if 6 p.m. the descendant, the DC, if this is, when the sun sets, then I was born about an hour before sunset. Now, back in 1985, daylight savings was, I believe it was in April, late April or something then. And so when I was born, there was still another month of what we like to consider the normal time. But they pushed it back to like the second week of March in 2005. So when I was born, there was still about an hour and a half of sun. So the sun was out and it was day. So I'm considered a diurnal person because of that. Diurnal meaning, the root word day. So I'm a day person. People that have this glyph under here, the night, this is the day where the sun shines, and this is the night where the sun goes away. People that have the sun down here, they're nocturnal people. They generally will like the night more than the day. They'll consider themselves a night person. They'll do more things at night. They'll go out. You see, I have a lot of my planets in, these are more of the generational planets. But, for instance, I have Jupiter in the 5th house down here. Now, this is the house of fun. Now, this is the house of fun, and it's nighttime, right? So I like going out. I used to really like going out at night and having fun. And that doesn't mean that all people who they can have Jupiter up here and be really fun. It doesn't matter. But I'm saying, but Jupiter down here in the 5th house, this is generally, I'm a really fun person. Like if I want to have fun, we're gonna have fun. This is the house of the sun, and so I have Jupiter there. It's a great combination. It's an air sign in a fire house. It's great. But anyway, back to the whole clock motif. And this is east. The sun rises in the east. And it comes up, and at noontime, and this is south. If you're looking south from the northern hemisphere, you will see the sun arcing from east to west every day until it sets, and then it goes away, and it's It's under the earth. It's on the other side. This is the underworld. This is hell. Cold. Because what is it? It's cold because when the sun is over here, and this is where you are in the northern hemisphere, and the same applies on the other side, on the southern hemisphere. It's the same. If you're on the other side of the equator, which is what this means, north of the equator, south of the equator. This is the equator, the horizon. This is the meridian. This is the solstitial axis. This is the equinoctial axis, the equinox. This is the Tropic of Cancer, and this is the Tropic of Capricorn down here. So this, I know it doesn't say it here, but this is Aries, Taurus, Gemini. If we're doing it by the year, Aries is the first sign in spring. Taurus is the second sign in spring, the fixed sign in spring. Gemini is the mutable sign in spring. And then it goes around all the way. And so that's kind of the overview of what you're looking at. And so if this is the descendant where the sun sets, and my sun was there at 5:40 p.m., 4 degrees Aries, see 4 degrees Aries. On the other side is my ascendant. Now, I'm a late degree Virgo ascendant, 26 degrees. Now, most of my 12th house is Virgo, is imbued with the frequency of Virgo. And so, or the lens, I would say the lens of Virgo. And so I have a very analytical lens when it comes to everything 12th house related. And this is a hidden, subconscious, illusory house. Fantasies, illusions. Neptune rules this house. This is also the house of it's the human mind, the human psyche. It's the psychology. And so I have a very analytical lens when it comes to these hidden subconscious matters. This ties into me being so into astrology and having studied this for so long, the last few years. And so my ascendant down here, I'm 100% a Virgo ascendant, but it's 4 degrees away from being Libra. And this is why it's so intricate and so important to have your exact birth time. Because 20 minutes later, if I came out 20 minutes later, I'm going to be a Libra rising, and I won't be the same person. It'll be similar, but I will take on the more balanced nature of Libra. I'll be more into aesthetics. And a lot of these Libra risings, they're imbued with Venus. See, because Venus rules Libra. See, I am ruled, being a Virgo rising, it's Mercury, knowledge, intellectual pursuits, intelligence. It's the messenger of the gods. So it's like I need to know things. And astrology is one of them. It's a hidden thing. And this ties directly to this house. My moon and my Mars in the 8th house, conjunct in the house of Scorpio. And I'm receiving some trines, a trine from Neptune. I was just talking about how Neptune rules the 12th house, subconscious hidden things. So Neptune being in my 4th house, trining my Mars and my Moon, all of this action and emotional, I'm very emotionally tied to things Scorpio related, occulted things, hidden things. I'm an investigator. Having Mars in his own house, he co-rules the 8th house of Scorpio. I am the investigator. I will not stop. It's an enduring, persistent, passionate, intuitive nature to me. Intense. There's an intensity to want to know these things. Yes, these 2 planets are conjunct in Taurus, so I'm very grounded. I'm very steady, persistent, hardworking. But it being in the 8th house, also the Moon conjunct my North Node intensifies. The North Node is what your soul wants to learn in this lifetime. And so that being conjunct the Moon, it intensifies it. I'm emotionally tied to want to learn all the things about the 8th house. I will learn and grow by investing a lot of emotional energy into these hidden, occulted things, transformative things, transforming my life through health. Virgo rising is very health related. Why is that? Virgo rules the intestines. Health comes from, the best health comes from when you master your body, you understand what to put in your body. And the intestines are the digestive tract. Most disease originates in the gut. And so I'm very focused and very analytical and very hard on myself when it comes to bettering my health. But you see, this ties into, it goes back to this. So I'm talking about the intensity of wanting to investigate things. Yeah, that's the hidden. It's hidden from me early in life. You know that you want to search and research stuff. You know that I knew that there was something more that I didn't know and that I had to investigate. But that's the layer beneath the Taurus. So in the beginning, Taurus, Mars and Moon in Taurus, well, what does that relate when it comes to physically? Well, Taurus is the mouth, eating. So early on, I had an emotional tie and this aggression to eat, to overindulge. There was an overindulgence going on when I was younger. When it would be drinking, eating, you name it. Like I didn't care. I shoveled it in. I overate. I didn't understand. When I was a kid, I was eating all kinds of sweets. I had a sweet tooth. I still do, but now it's more fruits. So you see, that was what I had to overcome. You had to overcome the overindulgence that comes from this, and then receiving the square from Jupiter down here. Because this is the fun I was talking about earlier. I like having fun, and this is the house of the sun. And so this is sending a square to this overindulgent. So that this overindulgence is directly tied to how much fun I have. And then, again, the Jupiter's sending a square over to Pluto. And this is even more intensity. Pluto is opposite the Moon and Mars in Scorpio. He's in his home here. And so there's a lot of intensity in me. This Pluto opposite moon, this is I could be a very moody person. When I was younger, there was depressive streaks. There was very moody mood swings, like almost like you feel like you're bipolar. So when it comes to astrology, my chart was all set up for me to learn this. I have Mercury and Venus conjunct. This is great for speaking, sweet talking. Venus combined with Mercury makes people that have this they're very pleasant in their voice. Venus is blessing you with a good voice. She's blessing you with good communication. And so I'm receiving a trine coming down here to Uranus. And I'll get to this trine in a little bit. But this Uranus trine is interesting because Uranus is one of the rulers of astrology, and so is Mercury. And this isn't a fire sign, and this isn't a fire sign. This is in the expanding higher education sign of Sagittarius in the house of communication. And this is in the quick-minded, impulsive Aries. And so there's a lot of fire and energy into wanting to learn astrology. And so going over to this Neptune trining the moon and Mars, Neptune, I feel, this is my home, this is the house of home. My home needs to be like dreamy. It needs to be like perfect. And there has to be order. See, this is Capricorn. Order in the home, structure, but dreamy. And if it's not that, I feel out of balance. But this Neptune is subconscious matters as well. So I will feel at home when I have that dreamy home, and I'm also studying and learning subconscious matters and building subconscious matters. This is the house, this is the builder, the planner. And so that trining my moon, this is the house of home. My moon, home. I feel most at home when I'm studying occulted subjects and all this aggression imbued with that emotionality. Lots of action. So this emotional stability with these subjects, trining this subconscious, the ruler of the subconscious in my home, it just makes for someone who's going to be really interested and emotionally vested in astrology. And so that's kind of just a little overview there. This Saturn here in the third house, this is interesting because, again, it's in the same house of communication as Uranus. This is how I rebel, and my freedom. So freedom through communication. It's hard to tell me what to do because I'm going to rebel when it comes to how I communicate. So it's hard to put me in a box because of this. This, early on, I had trouble with communication. But when my Saturn returned, late 20s, early 30s, it got better. But there was a shyness because Saturn in the third house, I had stuttering problems and trouble speaking, fear of public speaking. Saturn was restricting. Saturn, where do you find Saturn? The first 30 years of life, he will restrict you. So I'm going to wrap it up there. It's about 20 minutes. There's so much more I could go into, but that's a quick overview of my chart.